سبيل الدموع سبيل مريح تنهدى يا صاحي كي تستريح
حرفا تراقص في اغتيالي وأنشد زاهيا بين التلال.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, tonight's talk will be a continuation from 2 weeks ago, where I spoke about some techniques that we can use when giving dawah. So this is a continuation from the previous talk. Now, if you find yourself in a situation where a person raises misconceptions about Islam, not because he honestly wants to know the answer, but his intention is to disable your da'wah. What do you do in that situation? At this point, you can't look at the initial misconception. You need to jump ahead. Just like Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he explained to the king that his Lord is the one who gives life to the dead, and the king said, "Ana uhyi wa umit," I give life and death. Now he could have stopped here and explained by saying, when you give life, it's not the same as Allah giving life. You give life by allowing the person to live. It is not the same. But Allah gives life to the dead, not living and then becomes living. Here Ibrahim alayhi salam, he didn't do that. He jumped 2 steps ahead and he said, Allah brings the sun from the east, then bring it from the west. So if that's your line of reasoning, then go there. Also, when giving da'wah, a person might bring up the issue of polygamy and they might criticize polygamy. You just tell them, look, do you really think there's monogamy here in Australia? Is this what you really think? This is something which is in reality just on books. But is monogamy really happening here? You know, a lot of people out there, unfortunately, they don't care about marriage and they don't think about getting married. So we have to use the appropriate form in giving dawah, which will effectively carry the message across to the people. And one of the things that we also need to keep in mind, my dear brothers and sisters, is gradual progression in our dawah. Gradual progression in our dawah. What are we dealing with? Because people in general are of different scales. So when you're giving dawah, you're dealing with people of different scales. You have people who are at the bottom of the scales. You know, they are not interested at all. They don't care what you have to tell them. They are negligent. You have people who come at you in a hostile manner. They're aggressive towards you. And you have people who are neutral. You have people who have shown some interest. You have people who are actually on your side. You have people, when you're given dawah, we're talking about non-Muslims, they're actually on your side. And you have people that are positive. So people are of different scales. So it's very important to know that when you're doing dawah, not everyone's the same. People are of different scales, and on top of all that, you need to know how to deal with each person. So we'll go through it quickly, inshallah. So the main idea is to try to bring them, those who are below neutral, those who are aggressive and they're not interested, negligent. You have to do what is necessary to get them on a neutral, or to get them on a neutral position. If a person's not interested at all, you have to say something which will catch his attention. So you're giving dawah and this person is not interested at all. So you must say something to him to catch his attention. Try to choose a topic which is close to the heart. And you mentioned, for example, a good example is the purpose of life. You know, why did God create you? Why are you on this earth? What is the purpose of your life? Because a lot of people don't know. And they will think about it from time to time, but most people don't know. They have no answers, especially when speaking to Christians. It's good to bring that up. So it's useful to bring a person who was disinterested, he didn't care, he's not interested, to now bring him to what? A to get him involved in the conversation. So you need to find something which is close to the heart, a person that doesn't care, he's not interested. You need to say something to that person to get him involved. Get him involved. The other person who's aggressive, you're dealing with someone that's aggressive. He's coming at you in a aggressive manner. You need to neutralize that person by what we call the PAR principle. The PAR principle. And that is, the P, we need to probe. Meaning, we need to find out what's bothering that person. Why is he aggressive? What is the bottom? What is going on in his mind? Why is he talking the way? Maybe his father died in the Gulf War. Maybe he's had bad experiences with Muslims. Whatever. So you need to find out what is bothering this person. And once you find out, then you align yourself with them. Align, which is A. To align yourself. And you try to be empathetic. Try to tell the person, look, I understand where you're coming from. So that way they don't think it is us against them. Okay, so number one, you probe them. Find out what is bothering that person. This is a person that's aggressive. He's coming at you. He's attacking you. And you align yourself with them. And the third one is, and that's R, which is to raise them. Try to raise them from neutrality to one that is interested, to one of positive, and ultimately, inshallah, of guidance. So this is what we need to assess. We need to assess the circumstances. We need to assess the individual. Not everyone's the same. So we need to know how to deal. And this can make a difference in your dawah. This, you'll find your dawah will, inshallah, will improve. So we need to see what level he or she is on. Now, it's very important to listen to them. Focus on what they're saying. What is bothering them? Don't just preach and that's it. Don't be just a preacher where you're just preaching to them and you don't care what they have to say. You don't listen to them. So, for example, you might also get somebody who says, I don't believe in a God. You might get somebody who comes to you and says, I don't believe in a God. And you say, why? Why don't you believe in a God? He will tell you, well, I had this auntie, my auntie who was a very nice lady, very charitable, very giving, kind-hearted. And just like that, she dies in a horrific car accident. And as a child, nobody explained to that person. And this killed the idea of God in their heart. This killed the idea of God in their heart. Because no one really explained to him. No one gave him any answers to why this happened. Therefore, he will tell you there can't be a God. There can't be a God. Look at my auntie. Look what happened to my auntie. And you got these evil people roaming around. You got corrupt people roaming around. And it's the good people who die. Now, you need to explain to them. You need to neutralize their negative feelings and say to them, look, just because it's evil, it doesn't mean it's ultimately evil. It might appear to us that it's evil, but there is a element of good that comes out of it that we cannot comprehend, that we cannot see. And we give them other examples so that way, for them to understand as well. Give them other examples for them to understand. So the principle here, my dear brothers and sisters, is to understand where people are coming from. Listen to what they're saying. Find out the roots to what is driving them. And very, very important, neutralize their negativity. Because if you can get someone who's aggressive, who hates Islam, who hates Muslims, but then you get him on your side, he might not become Muslim, but now he understands Islam. He has a soft spot for Islam. If you can do that, then you've achieved, this is something great, inshallah. Even if they don't accept Islam. But at least you've neutralized any negative feelings. And then inshallah later on, if he's guided, then you've planted what? You've planted the seed. You have planted the seed, and then inshallah maybe later on he will become Muslim. But it's better than the way he was, being aggressive, fighting against Islam and so on and so forth. So bring them to a neutral point where they are willing to listen. Now, if they're not listening and they're just attacking, they're coming at you in an aggressive manner, you've tried what I've mentioned, but they're not listening and they're attacking you. What do? Then here, better to avoid heavy argumentation. If you find somebody like that who's just attacking you, just give them a pamphlet and move on. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. Just move on, inshallah. Another example of trying to find common grounds or neutralize some people's attitudes. Sometimes in dawah, when giving dawah to Christians, he will tell you, I know Jesus is God. He'll tell you this. How do you do with this person? He'll tell you, look, I know that Jesus is God. And you say to them, why? Why do you think Jesus is God? He'll tell you, because whenever I pray to Jesus, my prayers are answered. So he's coming to you through what? He's attached to something which you can't reason out. So this person is attached to something that you cannot reason out. He's emotional. He's coming at you with emotionalism. So you have to step out of that circumstance and you have to come somewhere else within reason. And you tell them, you need to come somewhere else within reason. You tell them, look, I have a Hindu friend who says the same thing. He says, I know that Ganesh is God. Because every time I pray, my prayers are answered. So what do you say about that? This is how you come to them. This is how you come to them. But really, so who answered the man's prayer? It's God. So it was God who answered your prayer. You thought it was Jesus who answered your prayer, but it was God. So you take them to something which is familiar. They're familiar with. Bring them back to God. Bring them back. Look, you've misunderstood. It was God that answered your prayer. Bring them back to something which they are familiar with. So we try to give them dawah in a gradual way. And don't give everything all at once. Don't bombard them with information. Just give them dawah in a gradual way so they can absorb the information, and later on, if they show interest, then you give them more information. Now, sometimes when we get into our religion, we're awakened to Islam, we become zealous as Muslims. And we want everyone to follow the way we understand Islam. We become zealous, that's it. And that's another danger, my dear brothers and sisters. We have to be aware of. Give people a chance to grow, to progress. So when we become too zealous, it might drive people away. So we need to give people time to grow, time to progress. Because our religion came in stages, and the laws of Islam came over a period of 23 years. The revelations, I'm talking about. So we give people an opportunity to grow with guidance. So I'll leave it at that, inshallah. So these are some of the techniques, inshallah. And we will continue maybe next month, maybe after the New Year's, inshallah. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فيا فوز المستغفرين. استغفر الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
فبالله كم تستطب القروح ويبرأ جروح الكثير الجريح وينشط ذاك السقيم العليل وقد كان بالسقم دهر